So back to Burgundy.
Yeah. The Burgundys live next to Old Man Abernathy. I'm telling you.
Doris and Burgundy.
Now, Doris, that trollop.
I'm glad to see you brought that same shitty headset that you had in Mississippi back with you.
And his webcam got worse.
It's the same one. Worse. It's just further away. You want me to move closer?
No, fuck no.
Hold on. Keep going.
Chad, do you have a blanket on?
I do have a blanket.
Okay. Real quick. You all haven't heard this. So I have been set up. This has been the Joe Louis for 6 days now, operation center right here. If you notice, I've cleaned out this shit. Notice? And the laptop's going over here, and there's been 2 things and been back and forth. I was on a conference with 20 people, and I swear to God, I can't prove it, but you could see certain ones of them doing this. Looking, because everybody else was beige wall, some puppy. That's cool, Chad. You really should.
I know. By the way, did it get cold in here? Brr. Brr.
I thought
about getting the Hogwarts Castle one. You can get that one too.
Yeah, did you see the meme? Professors this semester, I'm teaching from Hogwarts.
Yeah. Well, there's one that this guy on Twitter, and I'm forgetting his name. If anybody knows, feel free to tag him. Tell him to subscribe. But anyway, he actually proved that you can now make your own.
Mm-hmm.
And he made one for class, and it's him literally sitting there like he's paying attention. And he said, you just set it up and walk away. And I was like, that guy better get a PhD.
Is that the Ninja Turtles?
Yes, I am in the Turtles' lair.
Turtle power.
Now Shredder's going to find it.
I was trying to use it the other day, and I wasn't very successful with it. And someone was telling me you really need a green screen.
No, you don't. Look, I'm good.
It was not working.
You need to be well lit. By the way, this is wonderful for the show.
I need to drink more. I need to drink some more of that Burgundy.
Got to go by Old
Bonehead.
Welcome to Bonehead, by the way.
Okay, really quick. So
honestly, I looked at Chad's screen for a minute. I'm like, what's his background now? What the hell is that from?
That's the shittiest background I've ever saw.
I think I saw that in one of them serial killer documentaries.
Well, like I said, I was in a meeting on Zoom, and is that Alien?
That's Aliens.
Now that one's my favorite. That's the best. Problem is, Chad, is when you move, you get all that stuff. So
I know it's the light.
The green screen.
If you had the green screen, it wouldn't be that way.
It wouldn't be that way. But yours is working.
No kitty. No kitty. No.
But once again, I mean, it was 15 beige screens and all this shit behind me. I was the only one that had anything interesting to look at. Now, it may not be your cup of tea. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, but there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
It's kind of like Teletubbies. You don't have to know what they're saying, but there's a lot of colors and stuff.
The first staff meeting I had, you could see it too. And then somebody goes, he looks like a DJ. But, of course, I also had a Star Wars. Oh, I have a Star Wars hat on now. Okay. So, welcome to Bonehead.
Welcome to Bonehead.
This is week 1 of quarantine.
As you can tell, for the first, 7 minutes we've been recording, and this has been riveting conversation.
Yeah. Well, the thing is the Boneheads are actually quarantining ourselves for a few weeks. We're not going to be around each other or each other's families. I actually was the first one to say I've had a little bit of a sniffle cold thing. My kids had it. We're staying away from everybody. I pulled my kid from daycare before they shut the fucker down. Now we don't have daycare. Mm-hmm. Christy still wanted to send him. We'll talk about that later.
Them who dies are the lucky ones. What?
Well, in her defense, he had no fever. Of course, if you read the reports, children don't really get this. They just carry it.
Mm-hmm.
If I disappear in a minute, it's literally because my cat's knocking the wires.
That's okay.
He never comes down here until I'm down here.
It's a series of tubes, I hear. So as long as he doesn't disconnect you from those series of tubes. Anyway, so we're quarantined. So for the next 2 or 3 Boneheads. Now, good news about this is we've had several folks contact us back. There's a couple I'm going to talk to you all about after the show, hopefully. who would usually never contact me back, but it tends to look what it looks like in Hollywood. What's happened, folks?
People are making really shitty music videos that have no basis in reality for the normal human beings.
Oh,
Nope.
you mean those people that make more than I'll make in my lifetime in a month telling me to imagine no possessions?
Nope. They're out of work.
Love me do. You know, I love you.
Or as Miss Kurtzman said the other day, he's got some time on his hands. So
Time is on my side.
Yes, it is. So hopefully we'll have a few guests.
I need to run some stuff by you later too. That's a good idea. Thank you for bringing that up, Joe.
Yeah, I've got plenty of time on my hands. Anything we can do after 9 o'clock's good. So this is going to come out tomorrow. I'll have to put it together in the morning. So this is on March the 21st, and secluded. But we do have a topic. We had a topic planned all the way.
Well, and the good part about this, because I know people are worried about this, so that
You're worried about the show.
We're doing this because as our loyal fans, that's right, the two of you, the rest of you, screw you. We will this way, if one of us gets it and should happen to succumb to the illness, Bonehead will go on. At least one of the founding fathers will live. It's a famous story.
It depends which one of us goes.
I'm not saying it'll be any good, but if I survive, I'll get on once a week and be like, hey, you ever eat a hot dog? Those are awesome.
For you people watching the YouTube version.
Oh my God, I just puked in my mouth a little bit.
Skin.
Let me wash that back a little bit.
So much skin. Hey, Chad, also for people watching the YouTube version, can I ask a question, Chad?
Yeah.
What Band-Aid is that?
Yeah, why do you have a Band-Aid on your hand?
So this is Snowball from Secret Life of Pets 2.
Oh, yeah.
And I cut my finger flossing.
Later on, when a woman, let's say you're in a bar and you're trying to hook up. Now, I don't care. I'm not going to say anything to your wife or your mistress or your girlfriend, all right? Which are 3 different people. But let's say you're in a bar trying to hook up, and she asks you, she throws the back of your favorite head up against the barroom wall, and she asks you, how'd you get that Band-Aid, and how'd you pay your dues? You tell her the check's in the mail, and you were doing something other than flossing to get
swordfish fight.
And so let's talk about the other thing about how, your jaw looks swollen. You look like you're in a lot of pain. Yeah. What happened? Oh, well, I popped my jaw out of place and it swelled up. Well, how'd you do that? Eating a goddamn grape.
You told Phil that.
So, Chad.
Yes.
So that grape, it did you some harm, right?
Yeah.
So that grape was filled with rat? That was a grape of rat? Literary.
That was a stretch.
Yeah, so I switched to pork rinds.
Not as much of a stretch as Chad's jaw made.
Oh, yeah. It was getting the full Jenna Jameson workout. I was trying to make that bitch spew.
By the way, seriously,
it's not Jenna Jameson. She's a wonderful woman.
Whoever painted that watermelon purple just to get to Chad, you're a jerk.
Isn't it funny that Chad can unhinge his jaw?
Oh, I can't. That was the problem.
He can unhinge his jaw so much that Jared wants to take him home and raise him. That's only
just got it.
Jared Greer and his snake fascination.
God, we really should talk about our topic.
Should we? Listen, and by the way, this is seriously.
Dead air.
Joe. I think it was Joe. Happened to be on the Twitter and noticed that a certain writer and a person was saying that you need to check out podcasts. Use this time to check out podcasts.
And mainly they're Patreons. And I said, fuck that. We don't even charge anything. Just blow us up.
So listen.
And he never replied.
Listen, but the thing about that is, and this is true, for some of you all, this is like we're having like your friends from high school hang out. We've heard that before. For other people, it's, they do weird, insightful stuff. But for some of you, you have friends that, always complain about those people in their office that are nerds and geeks. well, they're quarantined and missing them. Send them our podcast.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
It's you miss Charlie and Burgundy. Well, guess what? Burgundy. I'm sorry. What was I thinking with Burgundy?
Emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Anyway, speaking of emphasis, we're talking about stories that don't need to be told anymore.
I agree.
They've been made into movies. They've been adapted into shows. They've been adapted into whatever. So we did movies that didn't need any more sequels, and that's just blowing up. I don't know. I don't think it is. But
you know what blew up? You know what blew up? Comic-Con with the Greers on YouTube.
Well, it's
so much on audio. Did you guys look? The numbers on YouTube. Yeah. It's almost always the opposite, but not for that.
Well,
our robots episode did pretty well.
The Greers are very visual people.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, also people Comic-Con. I mean, people like to. We're getting people. Sadly, Comic-Con will hopefully rise again soon.
Hopefully, it'll be in May.
Yeah, that's the plan. That would be great if it's late enough in May. Maybe I'll get to come.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. It's the week before my vacation, so the asshole scheduled it right as I'm leaving supposedly for vacation. But that's okay. Who knows if the end of the world will be?
Well, I was about to say, I'll tell you where you're not going.
Not anytime soon. And I had my kid trained too. What are we doing in May? Going to Disney. He actually said the other day, going to Disney in May.
Yep, there we go. James first to go.
No, I was trying to do the
catch that shit through one of these computer viruses, can you?
I've got the Michelangelo virus. There's a 1980s computer programmer rolling right now.
All right, so who wants to go first about stories that we never want to see in movies ever again?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Why not? So I'm going to start off small, and if
you all don't show them your dick.
Yeah.
Right next to that watermelon grape.
Why does your dick have a nail on it? And how did you convince your wife to? Doesn't matter.
Anyway, no. So my list, if you all don't take one,
he absorbed his brother, and that's his brother's at the end of his dick. You're the most fucked up basket case ever.
How is that not a movie already, or is it? I don't know.
Write that shit later.
Yeah.
If they can do Corona zombies, we can do that. We can do Corona basket case dick.
So, if you all don't steal any of my top three, my numbers are going to increase. And I didn't do this on purpose. As I wrote them, I realized, oh crap, the numbers just keep growing. So my first one, and I could care less if it's ever retold, Peter Pan.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't ever need to see another Peter Pan as long as I live.
I've never been a fan of Peter Pan to begin with.
And it has its place.
I guess, but it's never appealed to me. And they just keep making it, and it just keeps getting progressively worse every time. They keep trying to reimagine it, and it just keeps getting worse. There have been 17 various adaptations of TV and film. And 38.
We were supposed to do research?
Well, I did.
I'm just fucking with you.
38 book adaptations of Peter Pan. The first adaptation of film was in 1924, and the most recent was released this year, Wendy, which got terrible reviews.
Never heard of it.
And just a few weeks ago, Disney announced that they are working on a series or a movie, I forget which one, but it's called Peter Pan and Wendy. They're doing it again, and enough's enough.
Well, and
not so much you could tell about this story.
And here's the thing about Peter Pan is that it's been told, it's not only that they're telling the same story, they've just about worn off every variation of that story. Wendy's grown up. Peter Pan, we had Hook with Robin Williams. We had, and probably the most semi-accurate to the book was the Fox animated series,
Peter Pan and the Pirates.
I mean,
never saw it.
Oh, Tim Curry as Captain Hook, man. It's actually somewhat jarring for a kid to watch that cartoon. Tim Curry as Peter Pan was terrifying.
Can you find it?
Tim Curry as Hook.
Can you find it?
No.
I don't know.
I'll
be honest. I mean,
YouTube.
I wasn't. I didn't necessarily love it as a kid, but I always watched it because it was on, and that's what we did.
Can you really quick? Has either one of you ever actually read the book by
No.
John Schlesinger?
You mean John Barry?
No, I meant Updike. See, there's one literary fucker out there going, ah!
It was written by Dave Barry.
Good one.
Yeah.
J.M. Barry.
He took a few months off from gigging with the Rock Bottom Remainders. Now that's obscure.
No,
If you Google it later.
I just don't see the point of Peter Pan, and I don't understand why they keep. And the other thing is, they haven't made money, and they just keep making them.
Well, I tell you that one that was made in a few years ago that stars that. Oh, he's a great character actor. What's his name? He was really good as Peter. He was really good as Hook in that.
It's not Jason Isaacs, is it?
It's Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs, by the way, is one of the best parts about Star Trek Discovery's first season.
He's a fantastic actor. He's a fantastic actor. He's just good in anything, and he's in a lot of shit, but he's really good. Paul W.S. Anderson's used him a lot, which unfortunately means he's in a lot of shit. But Jason Isaacs, great actor. And I think that there's two things I want to support Chad on this. Don't tell anybody. One is they normally get Hook right, but they never get anybody interesting to play Peter Pan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's usually the focus is on Hook, though. Hugh Jackman's Captain Hook was. Ugh.
Oh no. And the second is I think that may just be an outdated story.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just
don't know that it translates well.
The whole concept of.
I don't think in a day where you can video game and play and be anywhere at any place at any time, depending on the system and the game that you have, that the idea of sneaking off in the middle of the night to Never Never Land and playing with the
because we do it now. We do it now.
I just don't. I don't.
I mean, I can go.
I don't think it has the same attraction. However, I find it fascinating that no matter what. Sorry, I can't get comfortable in this chair. This office chair is fine as long as you don't have to sit in it. It's fascinating that.
Great for headstands.
Yeah. Oh, my head just hurt.
I thought it was funny and accurate. It's great. It looks good if you don't have to sit in it. So I find it fascinating, but still, after all these years, there's never less than a 45 to a 50-minute wait for that ride at Disney World in the Magic Kingdom.
And it's one of my.
It's a 3-minute ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my wife's favorite Disney films.
Really I don't have an attraction.
And it's also aged poorly in some representation issues.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. People
by the way,
no
that
hands,
may also be true.
People who don't have a hand with a hook there, they're just racist.
By the way, that may be
talking about,
true.
Right?
That may be true of the original source material as well, though, because the original source material did have Native Americans in it as well.
Yeah. All right.
The Peter Pan didn't originally appear in Peter Pan. He actually originally appeared in a work called The Little White Bird. It was excerpted from that and made into Peter Pan as a stage play in 1904.
Oh, okay.
Just
who's next? I can go or James.
You hit it. I'll get ready. I'll pull my notes up.
I never, ever, 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 ever want to see another Christmas Carol.
It was on my list. I'm glad
we did a whole episode. And I completely agree with you. That's a good one.
And here, it was the last one added. I have an 8 here, okay? Because I wanted to make sure. And a couple of them I'm not going to use unless you just beat me to the rest of them. The 2 good ones are at the top, and I should have grabbed them because one of you all is about to grab them after that. But here's the reason why I want to say A Christmas Carol. They do one every year. It's a fantastic story. It's able to be adapted time after time. There's never, ever, ever a medium that they haven't used it in yet. I bet it's even in video games somewhere, somehow, some way that I just don't know. However, it has been done superbly multiple times and shitty more than enough.
Oh God, I think every year doesn't the Hallmark Channel do a version of the Christmas Carol?
Every television show. I shouldn't say every television. I bet every 70s television show had one, and
80 sitcoms too.
80 sitcoms. Sanford and Son had one.
Was it? You mentioned Hallmark Channel. Didn't Hallmark do a Carol's Christmas or something? It's about a lady named Carol that doesn't have enough spirit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that sounds actually right.
If they don't,
starring Candace
that
Bergen
shit down and sell it to them for $1,000 tomorrow. They'll have it shipped, shot, and delivered.
Well, they're showing them now. They're showing them now to help people deal with the.
Well, Abby W will be as ecstatic.
But, by the way, in this coronavirus pandemic where we're all stuck at our home, if my wife made me sit there and watch Christmas movies in freaking February, March, whatever month it is, I would go insane. I would eat the television.
Joe, she has done that. He's gone stark craving mad.
Yeah. Cut to those memes of them in The Shining driving up to the lodge.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you think, Mr. Wanky? I think you're full of shit, too.
I told you his absorbed twin was in his dick. He's talking to him. He calls him Mr. Wanky.
Yeah, this is going to be the best episode for people to refer people to.
Mr. Wanky's dick absorption. Anyway, so, okay. Now, I said that. Every year there will be something I watch. The best one, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, one was Alistair Slim or Sims, James.
Alistair Sims.
Alistair Crowley.
No, it's not Alistair Crowley.
No, he rides a wide horse. Favorite.
I watch it almost every year. One of my other ones is Scrooge. That was on the day I got free Showtime during the epidemic. Anyway, so I was DVRing the shit out of things over this free weekend, James. I was going through doing this.
I'll make a recommendation. Check out Kidding on Showtime.
I don't have it on demand. They just
Jim Carrey's best work in years.
Okay. Now, I've said that 3-hour BBC version with not Guy Fieri.
I was going to say Guy Fieri. Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce and the guy from it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's almost 3 hours long. They did a really dark version. I mean, in this one, Scrooge is molested at school.
That's lovely.
Oh, it gets darker. Okay. So, that being said, I don't know if they brought anything to it. It was just darker, and the acting was superb, and it was shot superbly, but they could have done another job. I never need to see A Christmas Carol. I'm not even going to look up the numbers of how many they are. Go.
James.
Well, here's the thing about, I'm going to lead to mine based off of yours.
Dead air, James.
There's been a Muppet
Mr. Wanky,
version.
say something.
There's been a Muppet version of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And I think a rule needs to be, if there has been a Muppet version of something,
no more.
You're done with remakes. And that's not an insult to the Muppets. I love this one as well. As a matter of fact, I watched it with my kids the other day because I have been with my kids 24/7. That would be Muppets Treasure Island.
I agree.
Treasure Islands. We don't. The Disney version, the old school Disney version is great. We have Treasure Planet. We have Muppets Treasure Island. We have so many versions of Treasure Island. And those are just the Disney ones. There are so many tellings of that story, and I don't know what you can do anything else with it that's new. It's a great story, but it's been...
I also feel, though, that's right up there with what Chad was talking about with his. I don't think that story tracks with modern-day audiences.
No.
I was never a fan of the story to begin with.
And unless Chad gets upset, I'd like to go next because I have one that piggybacks right on what you're talking about.
Well, and I think so the thing about Treasure Island...
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Deal with it.
It'll give you a chance to use one of mine that you really want to use. This one you won't want to use.
Okay.
But yeah, so Treasure Island, I'm assuming was originally published in serial format because that's how things used to be published. Charles Dickens published works that way. And so you strung it out a little bit. If you read that now, it's a little bit. Yeah, well, it's a little bit hard. So the there's just tons of and the thing about it is, if you want to get into the history of it, that book is filled
Not
with
really.
allusions to actual pirating, allusions to actual locations. But going to exactly what you said, Joe, who knows that stuff now? I mean, I'm
I
a
don't think it
nerd.
tracks very well.
I'm a nerd, so I know some of it, but there's not, even I'm occasionally like, well, hold on, let me get my dictionary. But anyway, yeah, so it was such a big hit when it was published. There was sequels actually written, including The Adventures of Ben Gunn, was written by another author to explain how he got on the island. If you've never seen Treasure Island or read it, you don't know who that is. There was unofficial sequels about how it was a cursed island, all of that stuff. Matter of fact, Joe, I think you'll appreciate this, and Chad, as we were just talking about it, in the novel Peter and Wendy by J.M. Barrie, it is said that Captain Hook is the only man ever feared by the old sea cook, Long John Silver. Even J.M. Barrie was tired of having to address, because if you said pirate, people automatically at that time went, oh, Treasure Island. And so J.M. Barrie even said, let's just go ahead and mention it because people are going to expect it.
They want their chicken planks.
Yeah, I want them
Hush
crunchies.
puppies.
We ain't got time for that crap.
You take the hush puppy, Joe, and you bite off just a little bit of it.
Oh, my God.
And then you dip it down in them crunchies.
Do you think they were called hush puppies because at one point somebody found a little puppy that wouldn't stop barking, dipped it in cornbread batter and fried it? And
No.
Hushed puppy.
No.
No.
But I always tell people there's only two things that the boneheads ever agree upon: Long Johns and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So real quick,
I'm a Captain D's man, son of bitches.
Whatever. No, you're not. No, you're not.
The hell's a chicken plank?
There have been.
They used to be called chicken planks.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were going to walk on them.
You'd slip and fall and break your neck.
No, I just wanted to point this out.
Treasure Island, gonna sue.
Treasure Island has already had over 50 film and TV versions.
How many? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
50.
Wow, 50 versions of Treasure Island.
Let me hit the highlights of this. Many. Silent version directed by Sidney Franklin in 1918.
Was it called Silent version?
That was such a big hit that they went, hey, it's only 2 years later. Let's make one in 1920. And they did. They waited 14 years before they made one with Jackie Cooper in 1934. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because this is the one that I was like, oh, I'd actually like to see this. There's a Treasure Island which starred Bobby Driscoll. That was the Walt Disney version. Bobby Driscoll also did the voice of Peter Pan. But the one I wanted,
he didn't have a happy life.
Really?
Oh God! Look up the voice. Look about the guy who voiced Peter Pan. Dead in a pauper's grave.
1972 Treasure Island starred Orson Welles. I've never seen that version.
What?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I want to see that now.
It must have been, it was working in Europe.
By the way, there's Treasure Planet was actually made 3 times as well. First one was in 1982 in Bulgaria. And then Treasure Planet was made in Russia in 1987. And then there was the American version. So over 50 versions, 7-part BBC series dating back to 1951. I could go on. But it's been told. Knock it off. I love pirates as much as the next person that's afraid of pirates killing them in their slumber. But we're done.
But no one is. That's the point. It doesn't track well. Which leads me to one, and I'm just going to mention it. I don't think it was Swiss Family Robinson. Just to piggyback on what that. I mean, does anybody ever need to hear or see that ever again?
I mean, when was the last time we had a Swiss Family Robinson?
But, well, it's been a while, but I just put it down, and I think it's been told many times, had it not? Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, no, it's well,
I think
it was
before
even
the Disney movie, yeah.
The thing is not only do you not need it again, does it even track? I mean, basically, that's what Lost in Space is.
Yeah, it's Space Family Robinson. I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And they're doing it again. Do you need that again?
Well, I think that's the thing about that is the story is compelling if you think it can apply to you. But there's nowhere we haven't explored now, except for space. That's why Lost in Space does work to a degree, because the Robinsons get lost in space, and we haven't explored all of that. But
I've only ever watched the first episode of the Netflix series.
You can probably get lost in Montana. Nobody goes there.
I've been to Montana.
Good for you.
By the way, the most recent.
No one goes there. Harrison Ford lives there.
He's crashed there too.
The most recent
crashed
version.
At Harrison Ford's.
No, you didn't.
You're right.
The most recent television version, by the way, was a 2002
Calista Flockhart would rip your throat out.
With a
I
2000
would just hold her back. I'd have a pencil.
Sorry, James.
It was a 2002 film, television version that starred Liam Cunningham.
Oh, actually, Liam Cunningham is a really good actor.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, go.
Oh, your piggyback was Swiss Family Robinson?
That's it. I just some odd reason they go to me that
Okay. So my next pick, I'll just start with the numbers. 68 television and film adaptations. 85 novelizations. Do we really need to hear the story of Robin Hood again?
Do you know what my number one pick was?
Robin Hood?
Robin Hood. It's literally right there on my screen, number one. No. And by the way, no more Robin Hood. Don't give two shits.
I do not care anymore about steal from the rich and give to the poor. It's been done over and over again.
It's never been done for me.
Never been done in America.
There's only been two good things from Robin Hood.
Morgan Freeman.
Errol Flynn.
Three good things from Robin Hood. Morgan Freeman, Michael Wincott, and Alan Rickman as the sheriff of Nottingham.
It's not a good movie, by the way.
No,
I didn't even care for it when I was a kid.
Okay, so no, full disclosure, I loved that movie as a kid.
We talked about that before.
Yes, I loved it as a kid. I watched it about a month ago.
How bad is it?
Damn. Kevin Costner is. I'll call him a somewhat talented actor.
In the right role, he's perfect.
Robin Hood's.
No, he's a good actor. He's a good actor in the right role, man. He really is.
Yeah, in the right role. But he's done a lot of shit.
Baseball movies, he's good.
Field of Dreams, man.
Not Field of Dreams.
Bull Durham. Bull Durham, he's way better.
I like Bull Durham, and I like the Sam Raimi one.
For Love of the Game.
See, I like Field of Dreams, though. And I think Field of Dreams.
I never understood the fascination of Field of Dreams. I don't get it at all.
When was the last time you watched it?
15, 20 years ago.
It may be like E.T. for you. Sit down and watch it again. Especially now that you have a kid.
I will admit that I swear you're absolutely right. I as a child, everyone loved E.T. except me. Never got it. Saw the second movie I saw in the theater.
Joe was on the phone with the FBI going, "That alien's right over here. Come get him.
This bug-eyed fuck out of my face. Drinking all my Coke."
No, that was Mac and me, dude. You got the budget, E.T.
Oh, he's drinking all my beer. I'm gonna.
He ain't doing me that in Reese's Pieces.
Tell Peter Cody to get his ass over here and pick him up.
By the way, Peter Cody, your quarter check is in the mail.
Your quarter check is in the mail.
No, I just
saw him in a Houston airport and screamed Peter Cody, and he ran the other way. And I told Christy, I was like, "That was Peter Cody." She goes, "Would you shut up?"
No.
Anyway, keep going.
No, so I don't see, and there's no fresh takes on this story. They're just telling it over and over again. I mean, what was the Frank Sinatra one? Robin and the Hoods.
Robin and the Seven Hoods.
Robin and the Seven Hoods. Nobody cares. The first movie for Robin Hood came out in 1908. It is entitled Robin Hood and the Merry Men, and His Merry Men. And then the last one came out last year with Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx, and it was poorly reviewed. I can't make myself watch it because I don't care about Robin Hood. There's just nothing there that interests me.
You know, probably the last, and I love Robin Hood as a character. I agree with you. The
best thing about Robin Hood is it gave us the Green Arrow.
Really?
Agree to disagree there. But I love Robin Hood as a character. I do agree with you. It's done.
How does he use the arrow when he's holding the lantern?
He doesn't have enough willpower to do the lantern. He tried it once. It almost killed him, Joe. I hope you're going to consider it fuck.
I've been called that before on Zoom this week.
I'm
a single mom. What you making me do this for? Sarah, anyway, go ahead.
No, the last thing I think that was done interesting with Robin Hood as a character, and again, it's because of the cast that they had do it, is Robin and Marion, which was Sean Connery and why am I blanking on Hepburn's name?
That's actually one of Sean Connery's favorite movies.
Never seen it.
That movie is.
I don't know that it holds up well.
No, and if you read Howard Pyle's updated, and Howard Pyle updated in, I don't know, 1900.
He still can't sit down.
Howard Pyle,
oddly enough, isn't the Pyles that got him.
Howard Pyle, when he wrote the
he tried to eat the donut.
When he collected the versions of the Robin Hood stories and put them into the life of Robin Hood, which is the version most people know and which most of the films are based on, it ends the same way that film ends. And by the way, if you've never read it, spoiler, Robin dies at the end.
I think the closest I've ever come to being interested in a Robin Hood story was when Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe were going to do Nottingham, and it was going to be about the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
And then they decided, no, we'll just go ahead and tell Robin Hood again.
Yep, that's absolutely truth.
I like that version for a couple of reasons, and not that people should watch it.
It's Gladiator with arrows, James.
But it got the history a little bit more right. The fact that Maid Marian has to marry because women aren't allowed to own land, all of that stuff. And as a history kind of nerd, I was like, oh, they got the British history right. They actually, because that never comes up. It's, oh, he loves Maid Marian. No, Maid Marian ain't going to own nothing if she don't get betrothed.
Chad's absolutely right. And the original script was written by Cyrus Voris and Ethan Reef. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And if that sounds slightly familiar to you, it should to James. They not only wrote Demon Knight, they also created that show you like, Brimstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were the ones who wrote the first one. It was going to be, and Chad's right, it's Nottingham. It was about the Sheriff of Nottingham.
That I would have liked to.
And then they changed it at the 11th hour into Chad's right, Robin Hood.
And I think that's it. I like that movie, but not because it's Robin Hood. And it's not enough to make me sit and watch it multiple times.
It's completely forgettable.
But it's the fact that, they actually did some research into history and have Maid Marian actually needing to get married for legal reasons, which was part of the process. But I agree. Robin and Marian, I do have a soft spot for Prince of Thieves. No, it doesn't age well. But Errol Flynn, probably the one people should watch if you've never watched any Robin Hood.
It's still fun.
Errol Flynn's version, when he shows up with the deer on his back and he's killed it in the King's, and he just drops it on the King's table and says, go ahead and cook that. That's not the exact line, but it pretty much is him basically just showing up and being a smarmy jerk.
It's still fun. Yeah, you're right.
It's so 1934 was when the last great version of that story was told. Or is it 32?
I don't know. Anyway, Chad, you done?
I'm done.
All right, James.
I want to do one that's getting a lot of press recently, and we're done. We can quit. The Jungle Book. So the Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling, his book. There's Jungle Book and the second Jungle Book. He didn't work on renaming it. He just it's the second one. That story is actually a collection of short stories and most of them do feature Mowgli and all of that stuff, the man cub. But I want to point out how often that story has been told. So we did get Jon Favreau's version there, Jon Favreau's version for Disney. Why am I blanking on Gollum's name?
Yeah, Andy Serkis directed.
Andy Serkis.
That's supposedly a good movie. I've yet to watch it. It's on Netflix.
It was on my thing, but that's why I don't want to watch it, is because I'm like, I have seen this story. This story has been told several different times. And so the themes of the story have to do with the dangers of freedom, but also the pressures of law, of being in a society and all that stuff. Timeless stories, but it's been told so many different times. Matter of fact, I thought y'all might find this interesting. Robert Heinlein, when he wrote Stranger in a Strange Land, that's actually his version of the Jungle Book. His wife said, you should totally do an update of the Jungle Book. And he went, oh, okay. And he wrote Stranger in a Strange Land. Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book is his version of the Jungle Book.
Huh, really?
I
kind of see it. May I stop you and say, if you've not, please go out and check the Newbery Award winner, The Graveyard Book. It's an excellent book.
But this story has been told with Superman. They did an Elseworld comic called Superman: The Feral Man of Steel, where Superman landed in the jungle and meets Bagheera and Shere Khan and all of them.
Let's not forget the most important variation of the Jungle Book. Walk like a man, walk like a man, walk like a man, my son.
The only thing about the Jungle Book that hasn't
You're listening,
been adapted,
I'm just shaking my head.
How
dare you bring up the best movie ever starring Howie Mandel and Christopher Lloyd?
Um,
That's the one movie that can say it starred Howie Mandel and Christopher Lloyd.
The
call sheet today. Howie Mandel and Christopher. What the fuck?
I'm just going to give advance warning. James, this pick is actually going to force me to sing again at some point, so continue on.
Well, so I wanted to say it's been adapted so many different times. What's funny about it is there are some stories from it that I really like that don't use them adaptations. They're the ones that don't feature Mowgli as much. So some of the stories that have been included in versions of the Jungle Book that have been adapted. One was the Chuck Jones animated TV cartoon, Ricky Tikki Tavi. That's about a mongoose.
Yes.
That mongoose fights people. That's cool. Well, fights cobras.
Why don't you like Ricky Tikki Tavi?
You prefer Shredney Vashtar, don't you?
I just never.
By the way,
Vashtar.
Vashtar.
Holy shit! Ishtar is going to be huge. Let's get the porn version out first. Vashtar.
Y'all ever read Shredney Vashtar?
Technically, Vashtar made more money than Ishtar.
Well, it definitely had more money shots in it. Anyway, so there's other stories, but there's been an anime, Shonen Mowgli, and all that. The story's been told, and there's other stories that are hidden in the Jungle Book that haven't been told. But we basically just get the Mowgli versus Shere Khan story over and over and over. And if you don't have buzzards that are the Beatles in it, I just don't care.
All right.
We also the one other positive about the Jungle Book is we wouldn't have got tailspin, tailspin.
I didn't say those versions don't need to exist. I just said we don't need to go back to that well.
But James, all the trouble will get in with another tailspin.
I didn't want tailspin.
He calls that bear cub Little Britches.
But no, I completely agree with James. Jungle Book.
He calls that bear cub Little Britches, and that's what he called Mowgli. Do you think Baloo just doesn't know people's names? So he's like, you're a kid.
Exactly.
Little
Are
Britches.
you saying Baloo is Joe Louis? Hey, Chief. Hey, you punk.
My dad, seriously, Slick. Hey, Slick, how's it going?
Hey,
Slick. Who was it? I have no idea. We always just called him Slick. Dad, you call everybody Slick. He goes, it's a system that works.
Yep. All right, who's next?
Well, you haven't gone in a few, so go ahead.
Are you sure?
Go for it.
Fuck King Arthur.
Oh, fuck.
I said, are you sure?
You have the numbers?
No, go ahead and give them.
Okay, so King Arthur. Over 100 adaptations of this story are on film.
And by the way, 95 of them are horrible.
Real quick about that. Does that include all the round table stories? Or
yes.
Fuck them all.
I'm going to get into that real quick.
Okay.
39 plays
if it is
in
an
opera.
Excalibur or the Monty Python, fuck it.
Over 100 adaptations on film. Yep. 39 plays and operas. 62 novelizations.
Ugh.
At least 15 of those film adaptations are the Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court alone.
By the way,
15 of a Connecticut Yankee and King
15 adaptations of
now,
Connecticut.
Does that also include
does that include a Connecticut Kid or whatever it is?
Yes, it also includes Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
He brought back a baseball, you see, Joe. He's going to teach them Knights how to play the baseball.
Well, and Army of Darkness is the same shit.
Oh, yeah.
The first film actually of King Arthur is a Connecticut Yankee. It was in 1931. You want to guess who the Connecticut Yankee was?
Who?
Samuel Clemens.
Will Rogers.
Oh.
Yeah. So the latest one was in 2017. King Arthur's Legend of the Sword by Guy Ritchie, which is.
Did you all watch that?
It is terrible.
You're wrong.
God-awful.
You're wrong there, Chad.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're not going to leave out the newest one.
In 2017, also released King Arthur Excalibur Rising, which has a whopping 2.5 on IMDb. And this year we are getting Arthur Dawn of Destiny.
Boys, I tell you, I don't know. There's a certain group of folks who just get a hard-on about guns and big swords.
James says I left one. Which one did I forget?
You forgot the one coming out this year, 2020. 2 hours and 5 minutes. You're going to get the Green Knight again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Green Knight.
Which I'm tempted to see because they're doing it.
I'm sure I'll see it. I watched the Guy Ritchie one, and it's almost god-awful. And I watched an interview with him on Joe Rogan, and he never said it was a shitty movie, but as you're listening to it, you're realizing that he's telling you what's wrong. Mm-hmm. There was obviously one person who was miscast. I'm not for sure which. I mean, I have a guess what he's talking about. And there was
the guy. Is it Charlie Human?
I don't think it was Charlie Hunnam.
No. But he said in an interview relatively recently he wanted another shot at it.
Yeah.
And that they originally planned for that to be a trilogy.
Yeah, it was going to be.
Yeah. But no, I agree with Joe. I don't need another King Arthur story.
I never need another one. No, they're good. Yeah.
Unless he teams up with Robin Hood.
And why do they keep feeling the need to tell the story but put a new spin on it, make it edgy? I don't care.
That's the thing. I don't. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, guys, I wanted to tell you, by the way, probably a bad time. I just wrote this screenplay about how actually the sword's cursed. And it's told from the sword's point of view. But never mind. I'll just burn this.
The Clive Owen one, terrible.
That one's bad. I haven't watched the one from the guy that directed The Block or Attack on the Block. I've got it DVR'd upstairs. Well, I've got it DVR'd. A Kid Who Would Be King or whatever came out. The one with Patrick Stewart last year. It's supposedly pretty good. I'm going to watch it.
My son really wants to see it.
Yeah, it's more of a kid's movie. It is supposedly. It didn't. The other thing is a lot of these movies don't do really well. So I'm not for sure. I know Hollywood is obsessed with branding and brand loyalty and already having a known brand, but I don't understand why
it's also
just something that doesn't do well.
It's also just another way you can screw over an author because you don't have to pay for the novel rights. You don't have to pay for that,
but you're still paying somebody to write a script. Even if it's 14 people.
But I mean, in this economy, anybody will do it for $1,000. My email is $1,000 right now. Now, I'm not saying the script's going to be good. Did I mention it may have buzzards that are beetles in it?
I need you to give me the Corman of. I'll undercut him, and all I need is Corman instructions of titties in the first, second, and third act, and 42 fucks and 5 murders. You just need to give me what you want, and I will make it work.
I'll undercut him even more. I'll do a murder.
He will show his breasts.
No, Joe, that's a good one.
I agree. I'll have another one. There's something else I'll mention but keep going.
Honestly, I don't care because I was just joking. I've got 2 other ones that I could go on a road.
No, I think you did better job with it. So I really only wanted to say fuck King Arthur because my first 2 were Robin Hood and King Arthur.
So then I'll move on to my next pick then, and it blows King Arthur out of the court in terms of numbers.
Oh, I bet I know what it is.
281 films.
Does he have fangs?
No, that's number 5. 281 films, 329 novels, 120 television shows.
Is he an action
figure?
And
we got 138 games. Do we really need another apocalypse story?
Yeah, now because we're finally living it.
And well, that's what I was getting at is especially now that we're living in the apocalypse, do we really need another apocalypse story?
Well,
it's been told in every fucking way you can ever imagine.
And it's all accurate. I've watched
Yeah.
it happen at Kroger.
Yeah.
You know what, by the way, not to be the one person here, but out of the three of us, which is saying some shit, by the way, I may be the most optimistic. Does anybody want to argue?
No, we're doomed.
We're screwed.
Okay, so out of the three of us, I'm the most optimistic bonehead.
Yeah.
And most people would say I am not an optimist.
Whatever. Stop wishing sunshine and rainbows.
Normies. Would you two agree that normies would say I am not an optimist?
Right.
Okay. But out of the three of us, I'm the most optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, watching a lot of this happen, for every bad news thing, I see 3 or 4 good ones. For example, a friend of mine who is an older lady hasn't been able to get toilet paper, which I'm not getting into it. It's
no, isn't that funny though? Like
it's not. I know it's a cliche now. I'm not even.
No.
In 2 weeks, it became a cliche.
Well, but it's not even that. It's the fact that literally, if you would have held a gun to my head,
I know that's the one thing nobody got. That's the one thing.
Well, 6 weeks ago, and said, "Listen, you get to pick 5 items in the grocery store because you're afraid they might run out of stuff. What are you going to get?" I would have went.
Wouldn't have been on it.
Mine would have been vitamins, vitamin, because you may not get enough nutrition. But no. I'm really worried about the.
Well, that's the one thing that no dystopian literature really talked about. But hold on, friend of mine.
Way to drop the ball, Aldous Huxley.
I know that's obscure. So she's an older lady, goes to Comic-Con every year. Pam, this is a shout out to you. She was at a store, I won't say which store, but it may start with a K and end with Roger. She went to the 4th one, and they made an announcement that they finally had toilet paper in the aisle. She couldn't get down the aisle. They were limiting five per person, which actually I think is ridiculous. It's probably
that's a little over.
2. They should have said 2 at the most.
Right.
2. Somebody walked out with 3 and started giving them to people.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Everybody's all Twitter pated about all this. We're going to get through it. We'll be fine. Well, some of us probably won't get through it. I understand. But
most of you will look back on this and laugh. Most
of you will look back on this and not probably have fond memories.
What's funny about it, by the way, my pessimistic mind automatically went. So that person gave out 3 things of toilet paper. The 4th person came up and went, "What? None for me," and stabbed him 5 times.
I have the opposite side of this story. Talking to my dad. It's more of a pessimist than me. My step-grandfather, same story. Woman walks up and he says, "I couldn't find any. Where'd you find that?" She goes, "I don't know, sir. He's 79. Looks like he's about 60, but he's 79. She reaches him one and goes, "Here." My dad says, "Now she told him he'd been to Florida and he touched that after her. He don't know where she's been."
Oh my good Lord.
Or mine now. And you think I'm a pessimist.
No, but do you all seriously do you all think that we need to keep revisiting the apocalypse?
Well, clearly we're going to have to do one about toilet paper now.
Yeah, I mean,
because we all missed it.
Every time I see another apocalypse story,
can we call that episode "Screen Wipes"?
Let me ask you a question, Chad. Do you think it's the same kind of thing of we always visit our deaths, and that's what horror films are? Well, I don't know that that's what they are, but a lot of people smarter than me have said, well, that's just practice for your own demise.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's more horrible to go on living, but.
Well, and I think that's
what all those stories are about, James. They don't talk too much to the dead folk.
Or do they?
Not usually, not in a lot of them.
No,
I don't know. I don't think anything got better than The Stand, honestly. And I'm talking about the book.
Yeah. The whole thing about the apocalypse is, I think people are inherently interested in the story because they want to see the worst possible case scenario of how their life could end. And that's what we keep giving them. And I'm just like, enough's enough. By the way,
death by puppies.
I could argue about The Stand. I mean, the Snowpiercer was a great movie.
It ends hopefully.
It ends hopefully.
It ends hopefully
Most
with a
of
polar
these-
bear who's going to end up eating all those fucking people.
most
But
of the
I root for
post-apocalyptic
the
films.
polar bear, Chad. We almost wiped him out. Let the polar bear have
But
lunch.
don't you think most of the post-apocalyptic stories end hopefully?
Oh, everyone, yeah. Well, not everyone, but a lot of them do.
Most of them.
Probably the one that ends the bleakest, and it's a film. I still, Mouth of Madness, the ending.
I was thinking the same thing. Honestly, it's two.
Because there's no hope, and he sacrifices because he knows there's nothing he can do. So let's just.
What
Mouth
about
of Madness and Prince of Darkness?
What about Seeking a Friend at the End of the World? Because you literally watch them blow up at the end.
Yeah, they do.
They find
It's
each
not
other.
a bad movie, by the way.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
It's a good, but no one ever talks about it.
No, they don't.
Well, I think it's because people went in thinking, oh, Steve Carell, and this will end happy. It'll be a romance. The hell it is.
Yeah. No, so the very first apocalyptic film was in 1933. It's called Deluge.
Deluge?
It's about an earthquake that it releases a massive flood.
Yeah.
It's silent. It's black and white, but it exists. And then this has to be incorrect. By the way, when the 281 films might be inflated because as I look through the list, they were including zombie apocalypse. It's every single type of apocalypse you could come up with. So there was a movie called Zodiac: Sign of the Apocalypse, which is a B movie, like asylum film picture. But if you want to count, the last apocalyptic film was Zombieland. Double tap.
Okay.
And we're getting more and more there's probably there has to be an apocalyptic film every year.
Yeah.
And
All
I'm
right.
just do we really need to have another apocalypse film every year? I mean, give us a break.
I need one, so give me one.
I was leaving you my last one, Joe.
What is it?
We'll get to it. James, next.
I have to bring one up, and it's probably one that a lot of people don't think about, but the story's been told. And again, I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're a classic work of literature and Disney has gotten around to animating you,
don't do it.
You're done. You're done. So I'm going to bring up The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Quasimodo.
No, don't need it again.
It's and there's great versions.
Every one of your picks has been a Disney film.
Well, because I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, "What don't?"
By the way, when was the last time I shaved for you YouTubers? And
I haven't.
More gray. You can tell I haven't been able to go to the salon this week to get this gray patched in.
Yeah.
If I took my hat off, you'd see I finally don't have my toupee on either.
Do you know how many silent film versions there are based on Hunchback of Notre Dame?
2.
Oh man,
Charles Lawson did 2.
7. The most famous one, and arguably the best, is the Lon Chaney one, which does have the great scene in it where he's surrounded by villagers and he acts like he's got something in his hand, and the villagers are, they reach back because they're so sure he's terrible, and then he opens it and it's like a flower or something, and then they beat him to death. Effectively, that's a bleak ending for you.
That happened to me.
The first one was he's been beat to death. That's why he's here.
Got better.
Esmeralda was the first version, 1905, French silent film.
Sorry.
What?
In the story, doesn't Esmeralda die and he dies holding her corpse?
I've never read it. It's in German. Nobody's ever read it. No one can read German. It's a dead language. Sprechen Sie dead language.
Yes, actually, Chad. So the way it originally.
Just keep ignoring the lies. Alex Jones, this shit up.
She's hung. She is hung by the neck.
Yes, she is.
They
said she was hung.
That's a crying game, Joe.
Quasimodo.
That guy did not have a big dick.
Every episode of this show is called The Crying Game for most people.
What does that movie have in common with me? That chick's got a dick.
Not much of a box office success.
Now The Crying Game was a huge success.
I know.
Now I want to listen to Boy George.
Quasimodo actually believes that the gypsies are there to kill Esmeralda, turns them away, drives them off, and believes the soldiers are there to help Esmeralda. It turns out that is not accurate. And then he ends up, Frollo ends up laughing at Esmeralda's hanging. Quasimodo then pushes him off the roof.
I don't think
to
I've seen
his
it in a
death.
while. Yeah.
And then Quasimodo goes to the cemetery, hugs the body, and he refuses to leave. He does die, but he dies of starvation.
Starvation,
He won't
yeah.
stop hugging the body until he starves to death.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm not an expert on preservation in,
See, I read.
Of France.
You've never read it.
Nope.
To quote Ghostbusters,
Cliff Notes,
you've
bitch.
Never studied. But one of the big things that it does come up in some of the films, especially actually the Disney version does a pretty good job, is that the book
He's a
also
necrophiliac?
is a study of the French architecture, the Cathedral of Notre Dame, et cetera, et cetera.
Buttresses.
Yes. I dated a girl with some buttresses once. But anyway, yeah, it's been made into a silent film. It's been tons of different versions of it. There's a parody called Quasimodo of Paris. It's a French parody. There's been 7 or 8 different miniseries. Plus, if he survives the COVID, Idris Elba is slated to not only play the title character, but also direct and produce for Netflix. So we're going to get his version.
All right, boys. Honorable mentions. Everybody's went 3.
I got a couple.
I got a couple.
I'll let y'all go first. So
mine are all Westerns. I'm going to give Chad his. I don't need to see another Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, Jesse James, Alamo movie.
What? Do you want us to just forget the Alamo?
I don't need.
Did you just list 3 variations of a Western?
I listed about 4 different characters. I don't need to see another Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp movie. Do you?
No.
The Alamo, don't need to see another one of those.
Nope.
And don't need to see another Billy the Kid.
Yeah, they should have stopped with Billy the Kid meets Dracula's daughter.
Is it Dracula or Dracula's daughter?
It's Dracula's daughter.
Yeah, because Dracula was busy. He
Dracula ain't got no time for Billy the Kid. He's over.
I mean, literally,
over his side piece, which is really kind of sickening in the Dracula household.
Seriously,
let's pause. The bloodletting was bad.
Let's think about this. In the grand history of characters,
yes, Billy the Kid is
Dracula's A-list, right? I mean, he's been everywhere. There's operas about him. Billy the Kid's B-list.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down here on the E-list. I'm not even Kathy Griffin level. I'm a E-list, but Billy the Kid's going to be B-list to Dracula.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
All right. So mine, might as well. We just said it. Dracula, 95 film adaptations, 45 stage adaptations, 9 TV adaptations. I won't even get into the novelization.
5 of them pretty good.
Here is the problem, though. Here's one of the ones I'll push back on you a little bit.
Okay.
Is that they've yet to actually adapt the damn book.
Same with Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Well, didn't
once we can convince Chad, I've talked about this on the Scarefest reviews. Once I can convince Chad, we'll eventually do a Dracula episode. But
you didn't have to convince me. That's been on the list since we started doing the show.
Yeah, but we still haven't done it. That's
I know. I've said this a couple of times. When are we doing the Dracula show?
As soon as I convince you. So that's the one thing. I mean, they got a little bit. This last BBC version got a little bit more of it, and then fucked up the anyway.
Oh yeah, the third act.
The baby thing was cool, and they did get a little bit of that from the book. I mean, there's a bag full of babies that he slings in the book. I mean, it's
right.
It's a little jacked up. That came. I mean, not all of that. Actually, it's a pretty cool scene. But that's the only little pushback I have is that they've really never done the book. They basically, and most of those, I think, are all based on the play that was done in Europe. James, am I right?
Yeah.
Stage play, almost all of that.
It's Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi. No, basically, it's not really the book. It's always the stage play. But anyway, even though, although, has anybody went back and watched Francis's?
I have.
Is it good?
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it. I mean,
it's pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know that it has any substance. It's still just the miscasting of the rest of the cast, right?
Right.
Okay. Cool.
The only other honorable mention I'll bring up real quick is I could give a rat's ass if I see another Pinocchio.
Fuck Pinocchio. I agree.
Yeah.
You'd like that, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Splinters.
Lie, bitch.
Splinters.
I was giving James shit about picking all Disney, and I realized every one of my picks has a Disney.
That's what I'm saying.
Pixar is doing Dracula next year.
Peter Pan, Robin Hood, The Apocalypse, Wall-E, and Dracula's the only one they haven't touched.
Yep.
Because Hotel Transylvania beat them to it.
Yeah. That's Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler Dracula get you every time.
Yeah.
All right, James.
I've got a couple. One that I want to bring up that actually I was sitting there, I was like, it's done. There's no need to retell it. It's based on a play. And it's now been remade over 10 times. Brewster's Millions. The story's done.
Oddly enough, I did not know that was a remake till a couple of years ago. I'm a dumbass. Have you ever actually seen the one that was done in the 40s?
I've seen.
I didn't see it till last year, so I'm not being a dick, but I'd be really shocked if you guys had saw the one.
That's the one that he has to spend $1 million in 60 days to inherit $7 million.
Yeah,
$7 million. Yes. Well, here's the funny thing about that. So the original version was a stage play.
Yep.
And that stage play was by George Barr McHutchison in 1903. First version came out, directed by Cecil B. DeMille in 1914. Actually, it's Cecil B. DeMille and Oscar Apfel. Yeah. It's considered a lost film now. They can't find it. That's what lost me. But 1921, Roscoe Arbuckle played Brewster in another version of Brewster Millions, screenplay by Walter Woods. Has spent $1 million to inherit $4 million. Also considered a lost film.
Yeah.
They found clips of it, but can't find it all. 1926, 5 years later, they're like, that made money. We got to do something different with it. Well, boys, hear me out. Okay, so we have Brewster. But what if there was a female Brewster? Brilliant. Mrs. Brewster's Millions. B.B. Daniels played Brewster in that.
You are dragging this out for
had to spend $1 million. The version most people know, probably the one you knew, I would assume, would be the Richard Pryor version, Brewster's Millions, directed by Walter Hill, starring Richard Pryor.
Which is not the director you picked for that from the movie.
Yeah, I was kind of honestly. That's the first I realized I didn't know Walter Hill directed that. I'm kind of shocked.
85 version.
Wow.
That being said, after Mrs. Brewster's Millions, we had a 1935 remake, a 1945 remake, a 1954 remake, a 1961 remake, 2 1985 versions. One was filmed in India. That's not the Richard Pryor one. And then since then, there's actually been 3 different versions overseas, with the most recent one being a Chinese version called Hello, Mr. Billionaire. It's done. That story's pretty simple. It's an entertaining story. You can play it comedic. You have a little bit of pathos, but the story's done. We don't need another one. Another one that I thought about, and I was watching some John Wayne films recently, as I'm known to do occasionally. The Three Godfathers. I didn't realize that was a remake, and it's been remade 5 times before the John Wayne version.
I didn't know that was a remake either.
So that was one that I had on my list. Great Expectations is another one. Nobody cares. Pip, unless it's on South Park, nobody cares, Pip. Nobody cares.
The expectations are pretty low at this point.
And my final one, and again, Chad.
These are
Disney movies.
You have 42 honorable mentions.
No, well, this one goes with every other one we've talked about. But Chad, this one's not only been a Disney movie once, but twice, maybe even more.
3 times a lady. Yeah.
3 Musketeers.
I can't believe we hadn't did the 3 Musketeers.
I mean, it's a great story. But you know what I'd find more interesting? Somebody do a autobiographical film about Alexander Dumas and how he wrote the 3 Musketeers and other stories that he wrote, because the 3 Musketeers story is done. You did one with David Hasselhoff, more power to you. That's great. You did a Disney version with Oliver Platt. Great.
If you mentioned David Hasselhoff, you better put Cheech Marin in there as well.
Okay. You know
what?
You've done so many different versions.
I should have done that to Swiss Family Robinson. You're absolutely right, James. That didn't even occur to me.
There's
a 3 Musketeers in there.
There's a Tom and Jerry version of the 3 Musketeers.
Yes. That's probably
Musketeers.
the first one.
Musketeers.
I mean, And so there's just so many different versions. So I mean, all of these that we've talked about are some of the most remade movies of all time. And I'm not anti-remake. Sometimes they turn out good. Sometimes they add to the story. Sometimes they bring in things, as Joe alluded to, that the previous versions missed from the source material. That being said, when you have 46 remakes or 46 versions, there ain't that much left in the well, folks.
No.
And just updating special effects isn't doing it for me anymore.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of Bonehead. Thank you so much. This should be up tomorrow.
I mean, that's the end of this episode, right?
Sure.
I just want to make sure we didn't have to. This wasn't a suicide pact type thing, because I mean,
no, I don't think the two of you could go through with it. Come to think about it, I don't think I could go through with it.
No, Joe, I'm totally going to. Where's my rubber hammer?
Me and my rubber bullets. All right, well, because I'd probably shoot myself with a rubber bullet and end up.
Mr. Wanky, kill him all.
He's talking to that thing on his dick again. All right. Thank you all so much. This has been Bonehead. Tune in. Hey, and if you're out there listening and you have friends, please share the shit out of us right now. Everybody needs a laugh. Well, other people you probably don't need a laugh. So share the show with those folks, because they won't laugh.
Or
I'm not very good at pimping us out, am I?
No. Well, let me do it a different way. Hold on. Let me get my
do
serious
this quick.
face on. Listen, folks. Maybe you know people in your life that are feeling down. They don't feel good about themselves. They're not sure where they want to go in life.
And you want them to go
What you
ahead.
can do for those people is share this show. And let me explain that. They will look at us, and their response will be, "Holy crap! At least I'm not those guys." You're gonna cheer people up. Share our show.
That's true.
Because I'm not what you call a pleasant-looking man. I wasn't born with normal brain function.
This has been Bonehead.
Bone.
This has been Bonehead. Thanks so much.
Bonehead.
Ah.